I want to share a little bit more about my background. And
If it's really fun stepping into some of these different issues, and I'll just tell a little bit about me. Is I'm a member of the silent majority, and you kind of talked about that, and God's saying to me, it's time to step up, and we're going to talk about a little bit about Christianity and government, and mostly people say, oh, that's separate, but at the same time, where I'm coming from is God gave us stewardship of our country through the Constitution. So we've abrogated that responsibility. And I almost say it, I have to ask for forgiveness as a church that we've allowed it to get so bad, and then we get mad at it. And it's really because we haven't been doing what we're supposed to do. So it's kind of a stewardship thing. And some people say, well, it's politics. Well, Paul, when he was in jail, he went I want to go to Rome and talk to Caesar. So he worked within politics. You're beating up a Roman citizens. He uses politics there for his position. So as we step into this area where most people say you can't talk about politics and Christianity in the same section, it's really, you can't separate it. So I just want to step into that and just share a little bit from your heart. As a Christian, how do you once say that I'm a Christian running for politics and having no fear about doing that?
well, it's funny, you said so many great things in there, and stewardship was one. Glad you brought that word up, because it's a word that's very important, and I hadn't been thinking of it. But the conversation immediately before you and I were speaking was about how you can't take it with you. I'm in the financial planning profession, and wealth accrual is a goal of people that come to me. They want to have their wealth well cared for, and they want to grow their wealth typically. But there is a wind down phase of retirement, and a lot of my clients are in that phase. And ultimately, you can't take it with you. So stewardship is a fundamental truism of life. Is you want to leave a legacy, maybe you can do that, but you can't take it with you when you go. So the material anyway. So then you bring up Paul about going to Rome and ministering to kings, which he did very actively to leaders, to tribal leaders and communities, talking to the elders. And I'm not a theologian. I would say as for any Christian that wants to get involved, humility is the key lesson. Come with a humble heart and with an attitude of service that our Lord exemplified by washing feet and laying his life down for us, his friends. And so that's an extreme, and I would say the average person runs around with the idea of separation of church and state, which those words don't appear verbatim in the Constitution anywhere. And what I would like to do, and I would encourage any religious person or Christian person in the United States or anywhere in the whole world to do, is to remember that a republic is based on a virtuous population where individuals have their own sense of morality. You can't legislate morality. That the people have to consent to be governed in a republic. So to the extent that you have a situation where the people are going to willfully disobey the laws, the republic will break down, and you'll either have tyranny or anarchy. And unfortunately, we're witnessing that a little bit here today. So that virtue in the founding fathers' perspective was going to come not from the government, but from the people themselves, that sense of virtue. And I don't think we're so far away from it, but I think there is a necessity for the silent majority that you spoke of to speak up, and to speak up with a humble heart, both to not offend the people that don't see the perspective that you have, don't want to offend people. What is that? A kind word turns away wrath. You want to have that spirit when you go and approach people. But also, we shouldn't have such arrogance to think that we have all the answers. This gets back to what I said earlier, that I don't look to the government to solve all my problems. They're not going to be able to do it. When it comes to long life, we're all going to die. Mortality is 100%. There's nothing the government can do or that we can do about that. that the decision to brush your teeth, the decision to wash your hands, the decision to do other things that are basic to staying alive past 5 and 12 and 30 those are individual decisions. We can't legislate that. I guess we can, seatbelt laws and helmet laws, but ultimately people have to voluntarily put on their seatbelts and voluntarily put on their helmets in order to benefit from those safety mechanisms. And our government has gotten to be a bit of a nanny state, to be honest. So I'd like to break down some of that arrogance of government. That's part of my mission.
I got to jump in here too, as I've been listening to a guy, and he says everything we're talking about are all symptoms. They are not the root problem. And if you want to get rid of systems, you always go to the root problems. And this sounds so simple. He says the root problem is, do you believe that there is a God? And if there is, who is he? Is it God or is it me? Because we start operating like we're the God. We got the answers. The government's, and basically a lot of people are looking to government as God to fix everything. And that's what you were saying, that the responsibility. So that's simplicity, but that I just had to throw that in there.
No, that's a good point. There's the story of the Tower of Babel, and that's a story of human arrogance, thinking they're going to build a tower that can go to heaven. And it's a funny story, really, when you think about it, that we could be kind of in the same boat. And so ultimately, I do believe in a secular government. I don't think we need theocracy. I think it's a mistake for Christians to advocate for using the government to control other people and their morality. I think that the government, that actually gets into, let's see, in terms of what I hope to see happen, I hope to foster a good society where charities are doing good work of all sorts of different